right, let's dive in. Today we're exploring the world of the Rockefellers and how they built wealth that lasted for generations.
Fascinating stuff, right?
Absolutely. Our guide for this deep dive is the book, What Would the Rockefellers Do? By Michael Isom and Garrett Gunderson.
A great choice. It's packed with insights.
You know, so many people want to leave a financial legacy, but very few actually do.
That's for sure.
The Rockefellers, though, well, they really stand out, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. They're a shining example. Multi-generational wealth like that, it's incredible. So what's their secret? That's what we're here to uncover.
Right. We're going to uncover their principles, look at some really innovative financial tools, and even challenge some of the conventional financial wisdom along the way. We might even discover why the traditional way of budgeting could be holding you back.
It might be time to rethink things.
Definitely. Now, the book starts with Michael Isom's own story. And wow, what a story it is. He had huge success, but then lost over $4 million.
A massive setback. Imagine that.
I know, it's a wake-up call for everyone, right?
It really is. Isom's experience just goes to show how even those deep in the world of finance can fall for conventional wisdom that just doesn't hold up. He chased those high-risk investments, thinking that was the only way to get big returns. And, well, it backfired. Big time.
He had to re-examine everything he thought he knew about money. It really pushed him to find a different approach.
Exactly. And that's what led him to the Rockefeller method. This system isn't about quick wins. It's about stability. It's about long-term control. The book contrasts the Rockefellers with their incredible lasting legacy with the Vanderbilts. Another family super wealthy, but their fortune, well, it faded.
What made the difference? How does the Rockefellers manage to hold on to their wealth for so long?
They were smart. They used trusts for centralized wealth management. This prevented their assets from being split up or wasted over generations.
So trusts are a big part of this. The book also talks about cash flow insurance, and it describes it like creating your own personal bank.
That's a great way to put it. It's about using a permanent life insurance policy, usually whole life, and adding to it to build up a lot of cash value.
And that cash value grows without being taxed, right? Plus, you can borrow against it and not get hit with taxes then either.
Exactly. It's a way to take more control, to be more independent with your finances. But, some financial experts out there, people like Dave Ramsey and Sue Zorman, they've been pretty vocal against whole life insurance. They say it costs too much and that you're better off getting term insurance and investing the difference.
So whole life insurance has its critics.
It does, but a lot of that criticism stems from misunderstandings. People don't always get how a well-designed whole life policy can really work. The book dives into those arguments head on. It stresses that if you work with a certified specialist and structure the policy the right way, cash flow insurance can be an incredibly powerful tool to build lasting wealth.
Finding the right expert is key then. And they really go after the traditional financial advice, not just about insurance, but about 401ks and IRAs too.
Right. They argue that depending only on those traditional retirement accounts, well, it might not be the safest or smartest move, especially with the ups and downs of the market and all those potential tax implications later on.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. They talk about unlocking the power of the death benefit. It's like they're saying the death benefit can actually be a benefit while you're still alive.
Sounds kind of crazy, right? But the book explains how you can actually tap into that death benefit while you're still here. Take maximizing your pension, for example. You could choose the biggest payout, knowing that your death benefit will take care of your beneficiaries even if you outlive with those payments. And then there are charitable remainder trusts. It's a way to minimize the taxes you pay on assets that have gone up in value while helping out charities and your family, too.
It makes you see life insurance in a whole new way. It's not just about protection for loved ones after you're gone. It can be a tool to increase your financial security and flexibility right now. This idea of buying your net worth instead of just building it really caught my attention, too.
It's a core principle of the Rockefeller method. The idea is that having a guaranteed death benefit gives you this level of certainty. It allows you to be more strategic with your spending and investing throughout your life, like having a safety net so you can take bigger chances, seize opportunities you might otherwise miss.
It's a shift in mindset, isn't it? Instead of constantly struggling to build wealth, you're leveraging what you have to create more possibilities.
Exactly. The book also explores how to finance big purchases, like a house or a car, in a way that actually builds wealth.
I thought the general advice was to always pay cash for big things to avoid interest payments.
That's what most people say, but the authors point out that when you tie up all that cash in a purchase, you're missing out on other opportunities. They call it the opportunity cost.
So you lose out on potential gains you could have made by investing that money elsewhere.
That's it. They suggest using policy loans from your cash flow insurance policy to finance those purchases. This lets your cash value keep growing, compounding without interruption.
So you're leveraging the policy to free up your cash flow, but you're still benefiting from the growth of the policy.
Exactly. It's all about making your money work harder for you.
Another thing that really struck me in the book was the emphasis on having a statement of purpose. And it's not just for financial planning. It's about defining your values, shaping your legacy. It even includes parts of Michael Eison's own statement, which are really insightful.
His statement is incredible. He covers so much. His views on money, on stewardship, even the importance of learning, parenting, meditation, connecting with something bigger than yourself. I found that part really powerful.
It's like a blueprint for living intentionally. And it's not just about money. It's about all aspects of life. He encourages everybody to create their own statement, no matter where they are in their financial journey or how old they are.
A great point. It's about figuring out what truly matters to you, how you want to make a difference in the world. It's a big part of leaving a lasting legacy.
And finally, the book has this bold statement: budgeting sucks.
Catchy, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
So what do they suggest instead?
They advocate for something called value-based spending. Their argument is that the traditional way of budgeting, with all its limits and restrictions, can actually prevent you from building wealth.
So instead of watching every penny and constantly denying ourselves, we should focus on spending based on what we value.
Precisely. It's not about deprivation, it's about making choices that align with what you want to achieve and what brings you true joy.
But isn't there a risk of overspending with this approach? I mean, how do you avoid financial instability?
That's where cash flow banking comes into play. It's a framework for managing your finances in a way that supports your lifestyle now and helps you achieve your financial goals in the future.
So we're not just throwing caution to the wind. There's a system to this.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm definitely intrigued. I'm starting to see how these ideas could really change the way people think about wealth and leaving a legacy behind.
It's definitely eye-opening.
Well, we've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive. We've explored the legacies of the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts, looked at how cash flow insurance works, and even touched on the power of trusts and value-based spending. I'm excited to dig even deeper.
Me too. There's so much more to explore. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of setting up a cash flow insurance system. We know it involves building up a permanent life insurance policy, but how do we go about that the right way? Can we use just any life insurance company?
Not every company is a good fit for this. The authors recommend going with a mutual life insurance company. Why a mutual company?
Well, with a mutual company, they put the policyholder's interests first, ahead of shareholder profits.
That makes sense.
It's also crucial to find a provider that's financially strong, with a good track record and a whole life product that lets you overfund it without any penalties.
So we need to be picky and do our homework. The book also talks about finding money to put towards your cash flow insurance policy. Besides cutting back on unnecessary spending, what are some of the less obvious ways they recommend?
They introduced this interesting concept called the cash flow index. It's a way to analyze your current loans and see which ones are really dragging you down. By focusing on paying off those inefficient loans first, you can free up more cash to flow into your cash flow insurance system.
So it's not just about spending less, it's about making your money work better for you. They also talk about setting up different accounts for different purposes.
Right. They suggest having separate accounts for different things. A peace of mind account for your readily available savings, a wealth creation account for long-term investments like cash flow insurance, and a living wealthy account for guilt-free spending on things you really enjoy.
Like giving each dollar a specific job to do. It's about being organized and intentional. They also mention figuring out your money personality.
Absolutely. They outline 5 different money personality types: savers, spenders, risk takers, gamblers, and the indecisive folks. Each type has its own strengths and weaknesses.
It's self-awareness, right?
Exactly. Understanding your tendencies can help you make better financial choices and avoid common pitfalls.
So you can set up a system that works for you, not against you. The book goes deep into some of the specifics of whole life insurance. They talk about paid-up additions. It sounds like a way to turbocharge your policy's growth.
Paid-up additions are basically extra payments you make towards your policy, above and beyond your regular premium. This extra money helps your cash value grow faster, so you start reaping the benefits of compounding sooner.
Like giving your investment a head start. They also talk about maximizing both your internal and external rates of return. What's the difference?
The internal rate of return refers to the interest you're earning within the policy itself. The external rate of return, that encompasses all the indirect benefits you get from having cash flow insurance.
So the external rate of return includes things like the tax advantages, the ability to finance purchases without messing with your compounding, and even just the peace of mind that comes with having a secure financial foundation.
Exactly. It's about looking at the big picture, not just the numbers on a spreadsheet. Speaking of tax advantages, that's a major selling point of cash flow insurance.
Can you break down how those work and why they're such a big deal?
So the cash value in your policy grows tax deferred. This means you don't have to pay taxes on those gains until you withdraw the money. And when you borrow against your policy, those loans are tax-free. That can save you a ton compared to traditional investments where you're often paying taxes on your gains every year.
So you're essentially delaying or even eliminating taxes on some of your wealth, letting it grow more effectively over time.
You got it. Now, remember earlier when we touched on how the death benefit, traditionally seen as something that only benefits your beneficiaries, can actually be used to benefit you while you're still alive?
Right, we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you give some more examples of how you can actually unlock the power of the death benefit during your lifetime?
There are a few strategies the book highlights. One is pension maximization. You choose the highest payout option for your pension, knowing that your death benefit will be there for your beneficiaries, even if those payments stop while you're still here.
So you're essentially guaranteeing yourself a bigger income stream with that safety net in place.
Precisely. Another tactic is using the death benefit to fund a charitable remainder trust. This allows you to donate assets that have appreciated in value to a charity while also receiving an income stream for yourself and potentially even for your heirs.
It's a win-win situation, really. You're supporting a cause you believe in, optimizing your tax benefits, and providing for your family all at the same time.
Exactly. They also discuss using the death benefit to access your home equity tax-free. That can be a real game changer later in life when you might need some extra cash flow.
So many creative ways to leverage that death benefit to your advantage.
It's about thinking outside the box and seeing the death benefit as a financial tool you can use throughout your life, not just something that kicks in after you're gone. Now, one thing the book really pushes back on is the traditional advice to buy term and invest the difference.
Right. They argue that a well-structured whole life policy can actually be a better strategy for building wealth over the long haul. Why do they think that? And why do you think this approach is often misunderstood?
They acknowledge that term life insurance is cheaper up front, but they emphasize the importance of looking at the lifetime cost of each approach. With term insurance, those premiums typically jump way up as you get older. And if you outlive the term, well, you've basically thrown away all the money you paid in premiums.
So it's like renting versus owning, right? With term, you're renting your insurance coverage. With whole life, you're building an asset that grows in value over time.
That's a key distinction they make. They also point out that while the stock market might offer bigger returns, those returns aren't guaranteed. The cash value growth in a whole life policy, on the other hand, tends to be much more stable and predictable.
It's that trade-off between potentially high returns and the security of knowing your money is growing steadily.
Right. And they argue that certainty has a lot of value, especially when you're planning for the long term.
This idea of buying your net worth through insurance was really intriguing to me. Can you explain that a little more?
It's about using that guaranteed death benefit to create a level of certainty that allows you to take more calculated risks throughout your life.
Instead of always chasing wealth through saving and investing, you're essentially buying a certain amount of wealth through that death benefit.
Exactly. It's like having a safety net so you can be more strategic with the rest of your money.
They also challenge the traditional advice to pay cash for big purchases, like houses and cars. Why does they think it's better to finance those, even if it means paying interest?
They bring up the concept of opportunity cost. When you tie up all your cash in a big purchase, you're limiting your ability to invest that money and potentially earn higher returns.
It's about what you're missing out on by choosing to pay cash instead of putting that money to work.
Right. They recommend using policy loans from your cash flow insurance to finance those big purchases. That way, your cash value can keep growing undisturbed.
It's using leverage to make your money more efficient. potentially accelerating your wealth building.
That's the strategy they propose. Now, we've covered a lot of the technical stuff, but I want to circle back to the importance of a statement of purpose. The book really emphasizes that, not just for financial planning, but for legacy creation, too.
They argue that a statement of purpose is about so much more than just your financial goals. It's about defining your values, your vision for your family, how you want to make a difference in the world.
It's about putting into words what you stand for and how you want to be remembered. That's powerful, and a lot of people don't take the time to do that.
No, they don't. And the book encourages everyone to start crafting their own statement of purpose, regardless of their age or how much money they have.
It's a great exercise in self-reflection. It can give you clarity and direction for your life. We've talked a lot about the strategies from what would the Rockefellers do, but it's important to consider both sides of the coin.
Right. What are some of the potential downsides or criticisms of this approach? Are there any risks or things people should be aware of before they go all in on these principles?
While the book lays out a strong case for the Rockefeller method, no financial strategy is without its potential risks. One thing to keep in mind is that cash flow insurance can be complicated. It can also require a big upfront investment, which might not be feasible for everyone, especially early on in their financial journey.
So it might not be accessible to everyone right away.
That's one thing to consider. Another potential drawback is that the returns on whole life policies are usually lower than what you might earn in the stock market, especially over the long run.
So there's a trade-off there. You have the guaranteed growth of the policy, but you're potentially giving up some of the higher but riskier returns you might get with other investments.
Exactly. It's about balancing risk and reward. It's also crucial to choose a good insurance company, one that's reputable and financially sound. The success of this strategy really hinges on the performance of your policy.
So just like with any investment, it's important to do your research and make sure you're comfortable with the level of risk.
Absolutely. It's important to remember that the authors are strong advocates for this approach, and they have a stake in promoting it.
So it's smart to be a bit skeptical and do your own research before making any big decisions.
Always good advice. Also, this approach might not be the right fit for everyone. Talking to qualified financial professionals before you jump in is always a good idea.
It's about finding what works best for your goals, your risk tolerance, and your individual financial situation.
Exactly. Now, the book also takes aim at traditional budgeting, suggesting value-based spending as a more effective and more enjoyable way to manage your money.
They argue that budgeting, in the traditional sense, can create a scarcity mindset and actually limit your ability to build wealth. Instead, they advocate for value-based spending, where you focus on aligning your spending with your values and goals, not just restricting spending across the board.
It's about being intentional with your money. It's about getting value in return. They introduced this system called cash flow banking, which focuses on classifying your expenses, making your cash flow work for you, capturing wealth, setting up a wealth creation account, and communicating your financial goals.
It's a much more holistic and strategic approach to managing your money. It's not just about trying to cut back and restrict everything.
That's the key difference. They also emphasize the importance of becoming financially literate. It's about understanding how money works, how wealth is created, and not just blindly following what everyone else is doing.
It's about empowering yourself to make informed choices that align with your own unique circumstances and goals.
Absolutely. And they encourage people to view money as a tool. It's a tool for creating value, for making a positive impact, not just something to hoard.
It's a really refreshing perspective that aligns perfectly with the Rockefeller legacy of philanthropy and responsible wealth management.
And they stress the importance of connecting your financial goals with your values and your purpose. That's what creates true meaning and fulfillment.
It's been fascinating diving into the Rockefeller method and all these principles from what would the Rockefellers do. We've talked about cash flow insurance, the role of trusts, the idea of a statement of purpose, and this alternative approach to budgeting. What else is there to uncover in the final part of our deep dive?
In our final segment, we're going to delve deeper into that idea of budgeting sucks and explore this concept of value-based spending as a more effective and fulfilling way to manage your money. We'll take a closer look at the 5 C's of cash flow banking and how you can use that system to achieve your financial goals both now and in the future.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about that bonus chapter in What Would the Rockefellers Do? The one with the excerpt from Budgeting Sucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, by Garrett Gunderson and Dale Clark. That's a good one. They really shake things up, challenging the whole idea of budgeting. In fact, they say that the traditional way we budget, with all its restrictions and limits, can actually hinder us from creating wealth.
So instead of tracking every penny and feeling deprived, they suggest value-based spending. It's a pretty radical idea, isn't it? Spend based on what you value.
It is a shift in mindset. It's about aligning your spending with your values and goals. Not about saying no to everything, but making choices that truly matter to you.
So it's about being mindful with your money, not just pinching pennies. But doesn't that approach risk overspending? How do you prevent yourself from going overboard and ending up in financial trouble?
Well, that's where their cash flow banking system comes in. It provides a framework to manage your finances. It helps you support your current lifestyle while working toward your long-term financial goals.
It's about having a system, a plan. So tell me, what are the main principles of cash flow banking?
It revolves around 5 C's: classify, concentrate, capture, create, and communicate. First up, you classify your expenses into 4 categories: destructive, lifestyle, war chest, and rainmaking.
Hold on, let's break that down. What makes an expense destructive? And how is that different from a rain-making expense?
Great question. Destructive expenses, well, they drain your resources without giving you much value in return. Think impulse buys, memberships you don't use, or anything that's piling onto your debt. Lifestyle expenses, these cover your daily living and enjoyment, like housing, food, entertainment, those sorts of things. War chest expenses, those prepare you for unexpected events or opportunities. It's your emergency fund, savings for future investments, that kind of thing. And lastly, rainmaking expenses. These contribute to your income and wealth creation. This could be education, starting a business, tools that make you more productive, anything that helps you generate more money.
I like how it goes beyond the simple needs versus wants and
Uh,
looks at the bigger impact on your financial well-being.
Right. It's a different way of looking at things. A next C is concentrate, which emphasizes cash flow over net worth. It's about making sure you've got a steady income and you're managing your spending effectively.
It's about creating a sustainable financial system, not just focusing on how much you're worth at this very moment.
Exactly. Then we have capture, which is all about automating your savings. The idea is to consistently set aside a portion of your income each month, ideally 18%, to build wealth steadily.
So you're paying yourself first before you allocate the rest of your income to other expenses.
You got it. Next is create, which focuses on setting up a wealth creation account. This separate account is dedicated to long-term investments that will generate passive income and grow over time.
This could include things like real estate, dividend-paying stocks, or, going back to the core of the book, cash flow insurance.
Exactly. And finally, we have communicate, which stresses the importance of open communication with everyone involved in your financial decisions. Your family, financial advisors, everyone.
So it's about creating a collaborative environment where everyone's on the same page and working towards the same goals.
That's the idea. The book goes into some specific strategies for putting cash flow banking into practice, including setting up different types of accounts.
Can you give us a quick rundown of those?
They suggest 3 main accounts: the wealth capture account, the living wealthy account, and the wealth creation account. The wealth capture account is where your automated savings go. The living wealthy account, that's for the guilt-free spending, the things that bring you joy. And the wealth creation account, that's for those long-term investments that will build wealth over time.
So you have designated spaces for each purpose: saving for the future, enjoying the present, and actively growing your wealth.
That's the idea. They also emphasize understanding money velocity. It's the speed at which money moves through the economy.
How does money velocity relate to personal wealth building?
Well, they say that the more efficiently you manage your cash flow, the faster your money velocity increases, leading to greater wealth.
So it's not just about having money, it's about using it strategically to create more income and opportunities.
Right. It's about seeing money as a tool for creating value, for exchanging it for goods, services, and experiences that enhance your life and that contribute to the economy as a whole.
It's been really eye-opening to explore value-based spending and cash flow banking. It's definitely a different way to think about budgeting. It's about abundance, about being intentional with your money, about building wealth strategically.
It's a system designed to help you achieve financial freedom while living a fulfilling life, a life that aligns with your values.
We've covered a ton of ground in our deep dive into the Rockefeller method, exploring what would the Rockefellers do, and even touching on budgeting sucks. As we wrap up, what are some key takeaways, some actionable steps listeners can take to improve their own financial lives?
Let's distill it down to 10 essential points. First, if you want to build wealth that lasts for generations, you need a strategic plan, a long-term vision. Take a cue from the Rockefellers. They used trusts and centralized management. Second, consider cash flow insurance as a way to create your own personal bank, giving you more control over your finances.
Third, don't be afraid to question the traditional financial advice. Look for alternative strategies that might be a better fit for your situation.
Fourth, shift your perspective on the death benefit of life insurance. It's not just a payout after you're gone, it can be a tool to increase your financial flexibility while you're alive.
Fifth, consider the concept of buying your net worth through insurance. It gives you a sense of certainty that can free you up to make bolder financial moves.
Sixth, be smart about financing big purchases. Use policy loans to free up cash flow for investments while letting your cash value continue to grow.
Seventh, take the time to write a statement of purpose. Define your values, your guiding principles. Make sure your financial choices reflect the legacy you want to create.
Eighth, ditch the restrictive mindset of traditional budgeting and embrace value-based spending. Spend on the things that truly matter to you.
Ninth, explore the 5 C's of cash flow banking: classify, concentrate, capture, create, and communicate. Build a solid system to manage and grow your wealth.
And 10th, remember that financial success is about more than just money. It's about creating a life of meaning, purpose, and positive impact.
I love those points. We've gone deep, looking at different strategies, questioning traditional advice, and hopefully inspiring a new way of thinking about wealth. The Rockefeller method isn't a magic bullet. It won't be the right fit for everyone, but it offers valuable insights for anyone who wants to build a legacy that lasts.
It's all about taking control of your financial journey. Educate yourself, make informed choices, and who knows, maybe future generations will ask, what would you do?
And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.